Hi, I'm Rafael Kadaris, and I'm going to be calling out some bullshit that's been coming up recently in the struggle for abortion rights. The erasure of women and unprincipled attacks on people who are on the front lines of this fight. Let's get into it. Any day now, the Supreme Court will come out with a decision on Roe v. Wade, on women's fundamental right to abortion. And right now, it looks like they're on track to snatch this right away. This should be an all-hands-on-deck moment for everyone to raise bloody hell, to get out in the street, to come to D.C. and put their bodies on the gears of the machine and prevent this atrocity from happening. Think about what this will mean. Women forced to bear the children of their rapists, miscarriages investigated for murder, women trapped with their abusive boyfriend or some random guy she hooked up with, dreams and careers shattered, police and bounty hunters tracking women down for crossing state lines for an abortion, the lifeless bodies of women found next to untwisted wire coat hangers, a Christian fascist movement even more unleashed, a society that views all women as nothing more than breeders and servants of men, and a state geared up to punish them. The threat of forced motherhood hanging over every woman and girl of childbearing age. Everyone who recognizes what this will mean needs to be sounding the alarm and calling people into the streets now. Yet many of the groups and individuals that people look to fight this are not only not calling on people to come out, they're actually obscuring the nature of the attack and the target of it by avoiding and in some cases refusing to use the word women when talking about abortion. Instead of saying pregnant women, they insist that this be changed to pregnant people or birthing people or people with uteruses. From Planned Parenthood to NARAL, Pro-Choice America to the American Medical Association to city and state health departments, this is increasingly becoming the official position. The ACLU recently posted a list of groups disproportionately impacted by abortion bans. Guess which group wasn't even mentioned? Women. At protests, chants get changed from pro-life, your name's a lie, you don't care if women die, to pro-life, your name's a lie, you don't care if people die? This video was tweeted from a local Planned Parenthood.
When talking about abortion, it's important to use gender-inclusive language. There's a very common and dangerous narrative that the only people that need access to abortion are cisgender women. Abortion is an intersectional issue, and our language needs to acknowledge that people who may not identify as women also need access to abortion. Using terms and phrases like a woman's right to choose or women's rights when talking about abortion excludes trans and non-binary people.
Talking about women's rights and a women's right to choose is now an affront to trans people? 99% of people who get abortions are women. What the hell are you talking about? Worse yet, some of these forces are attacking the one group that has consistently been calling people out in the streets on this and is right now protesting in front of the Supreme Court. RiseUpForAbortionRights.org, because they insist on telling the truth that this is an attack on women. And even worse, instead of engaging in principled debate about the nature of the attack on abortion and what must be done to defeat it, they're using personal attacks and slander to go after Rise Up for Abortion Rights leaders like Sunsara Taylor, as well as Bob Avakian and other RevComs. Think about it. At this moment when the right to abortion is hanging by a thread, there are people who are making it their mission to prevent people from joining this struggle. This is identity politics, woke insanity running amok, and it is ridiculous that we even have to talk about it. You know who's not afraid to use the word women? The Christian fascists who are behind this assault.
I'm going to tell you right now, what is a woman? This is an easy answer. We're a creation of God. We came from Adam's rib. God created us with his hands. We may be the weaker sex, we are the weaker sex, but we are our partner, our husband's wife.
Wives, writes Paul, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. Now, what is submission? The idea is to place oneself under, to subordinate oneself.
I believe that, yes, this passage in 1 Timothy 2 verse 12, very much applies for all time. Paul even grounds this idea that men are to teach and to lead, to exercise authority, and not women, in the creation. He grounds it in the example of Adam and Eve. And this passage, among others in the New Testament, is a call to women to accept the role that God has given them and to seek to flourish in that role. It's a good role. There's much good to be wrung out of that.
So, I have a question for you, Stick.
Sure, what's up?
1 Timothy 2:15 says, "Yet she will be saved through childbearing, if they continue in faith and love and holiness with self-control." I know salvation is not by works, so what does "she will be saved through childbearing" mean?
When a woman bears children and they grow up to live like Jesus, she is spared from shame.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. But what would she be ashamed of?
The verse right before it tells us, Adam was not deceived, but the woman was deceived and became a transgressor. Because Eve made the call that day, she bears a unique shame and burdens all women with her stigma. But childbearing offers a unique opportunity to erase this stigma.
Holy shit. But yes, this is what the attack on abortion is actually about. As Bob Avakian, revolutionary leader and architect of the new communism, wrote in a very important recent article on revcom.us, The Crucial Fight for Abortion Rights and Ending All Oppression, Broad Unity and Necessary Struggle, it is not more inclusive to use terms like people who get pregnant. It is more diffusive. It dilutes and weakens the point that, in its essence, denying the right to abortion is about the patriarchal enslavement of women. Forced motherhood is enslavement of the half of humanity that is female. This is the main and essential thing going on with the attack on the right to abortion. Chase Strangio of the ACLU, one of the main apologists for this gender-neutral, so-called inclusive language, said something very revealing in this interview on Democracy Now!
By the way, the more we have this non-inclusive discourse, it's not just trans men and non-binary people who are excluded, it's the entire system of gender-based policing that is then invisibilized.
No, Chase, the system is about way more than gender policing, forcing people to conform to rigid male-female roles. It is part of a system of patriarchal gender oppression, a system which, by the way, arose together with the division of society into classes and can only be ended as part of the struggle to get rid of the whole system of capitalism imperialism. But as long as we're talking about policing and making things invisible, what about invisibilizing the oppression of women and policing, even canceling those who refuse to go along with that? The system of gender oppression most definitely involves the violent persecution of trans people and all those who don't fit these patriarchal gender roles, attacking trans kids and taking away their rights, driving them to suicide. And it means everywhere you turn, women are degraded, demeaned, objectified, super exploited on the job, called bitches and hoes on the streets and in the workplaces, told to be silent and submissive, raped, battered, and murdered simply for being women. Erasing the word women does not erase this reality. In fact, it makes the situation worse by, yes, trying to make this oppression invisible. And right now, it means the most fundamental ability of women to control their own bodies is on the verge of being ripped away by a pack of misogynist jackals in robes. All this needs to be fought, and all these struggles need to be directed toward putting an end to the system which is the source and cause of all this. But instead of linking things together in this way, instead of fighting to get rid of this system through revolution, some people are focused on trying to get in on it, competing over who's the most oppressed and jockeying for position and space within this system. Instead of building the strongest possible resistance now to stop this massive atrocity against women, which could come any day now, some people are focused on attacking those who violate the constantly mutating standards of wokeness. This needs to be stopped, and anyone who values truth, justice, the lives of women and girls, as well as trans people, and a better future for everyone needs to call this shit out and say the word women and rededicate themselves to stopping this fascist assault on half of humanity.